Welcome back. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker. She's a New Thought practitioner. She's a facilitator and a teacher and a life coach and a lawyer and a mom. So please join me in welcoming Dianne.
Good morning.
My cup is running over this morning. Just overflowing with gratitude for life itself. And so, if you would just be with me for just a moment, just to be still. So I woke up this morning at dark 30, and I thought, okay, we're rising up early today, I see. And I hopped out of bed because I knew that I was being called to connect on a level that required my attention. It required me to be awake, and it required me to focus on what was going on in the energy around me so that I could make that connection within my own self and become really aware that the connection has always been there. So there's no plugging in. There's no I have to get up and check in with. I'm only checking in with myself and reminding myself that the connection is always there, that there is no place where we are disconnected from the power and presence of God. So I got up this morning and I said, okay, here's my appointment at dark 30. And I sat in the stillness, and it was so powerful this morning because I've been engaging in a practice with my teacher of soul connection, of really being clear about going into the inner sanctuary of our souls and connecting our awareness to the connection that already is, and really just kind of getting in there with it. So this morning was really powerful for me because I sat, and I think it was my most palpable experience of being aware of the deepest connection of my soul. And it reminded me when I first asked for my own soul transformation was several years ago when I started this journey. So I started it, in 93 as we do. We go to spiritual communities and we kind of show up and we hang out and it's fun and it's good. And I did that for a while in my community in LA. And then at some point in my life, I had this moment where it was this awareness that I was hanging out in a spiritual practice, but I wasn't actually engaged in the spiritual practice. Like I knew all the lingo and I knew all the and so it is, and I could Om Shanti with the best of them, but I wasn't really engaged in the actual transformative practice of being in tune with my soul and being in tune with who and what I really am. So I at that point I had asked, I was searching, and I was coming through a dark night of the soul, and I was asking for a real connection to a real understanding. Show me who I really am. Show me what I really am so I could know what I'm really here to do. And there was this place within me that I was just so desirous of it. It was almost like a desperation. It was like, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I need to connect to something that is real. And this voice within me said, get up. And so I got up and I walked over to the mirror, and there are no words or explanation for the reflection that was reflected back to me. It was the most powerful experience at that point in my spiritual journey. It was this moment when I was completely connected to the light within myself and could actually see it. And there was no thing that was standing in between it. There was no veil. There was no disconnect. And I became really clear that to become connected with myself and to remember the connection and remember the coils that keep me connected to all of life itself, that there is a practice that I must engage in, that there are steps that I must take. I must become actively engaged in my own spiritual shift. And so I started to do the work. I wanted not just to be inspired, which inspiration is great, and I wanted not just to be motivated, which motivation is great, but I wanted to be inspired, motivated, and transformed into more and more of my own true self, and that requires engagement. That requires getting involved. And so first I had to ask myself the question, what is it? What am I seeking? What is my soul calling me to do? And what did I come into this realm, into this planet to do? Why am I here? Really, why is my soul here in this body, in this place as Dianne? What have I come to do? And so when I asked myself that, it became a journey of becoming dedicated to what are you being called? Everyone is here with their own individual calling. The first place of soul transformation is to go back to the beginning of who you are, go back to the place, the eternal place that's within you, and answer the question. You ask it and you sit and you wait for the answer. And there's a dedication that's required. You have to be dedicated to the desire that's within your soul. You have to be dedicated to the desire to transform, to grow, to become all of who you have come to be. The dedication requires that you stay engaged all the time. That when you feel yourself disengaged, that you correct your course, you correct your attention, you call yourself back to the center. When your humanness distracts you, you call yourself back to the center of, is this what I'm here to do? Is what I'm doing honoring my soul? Am I honoring who I truly am? Am I honoring myself? Are my actions in demonstration of what it is that I desire to do? And many of us, we walk around and we talk about what we believe. But does your life demonstrate what you believe? Because that's where the dedication comes in, is the dedication to the practice, the demonstration that your life becomes the entire expression of who you really are. Not the chatter, not the talking, not the surface level agreements that we've made in community and society to be mediocre, but really the commitment to go within the soul, to be in the soul and answer the call. Answer the soul's call, which for each one of us is different. And it's also very necessary for the planet, for you, for human evolution, for us to come into this human realm and do what we came to do. It is necessary. And so when you are called out and your calling comes from within you, when you start to feel that disease within yourself, you start to feel that uncomfortableness within yourself, where you start to know, this is not serving my soul, this is not feeding who I am, this is not serving the greater community, this is not doing what I came to do in the world. When you start to feel that discomfort and you start to feel it happening, don't stay comfortable in familiar discomfort. Make a choice to say, no, this is uncomfortable, and although it's familiar, I'm moving on. That's how you start the process. But first you start with the foundation. We can go back to that. It's a foundation. The foundation is, ask yourself, what am I really here to do? What is my heart's true calling? And don't be discouraged. You might not get an immediate response. You may have to sit for a while, because you might have to sift. For many of us, there's a sifting through that we have to do, all of the stories and experiences and things that we have built up in our mind. Sometimes we may have to, many of us have to sift through that. There's a sifting through that you may have to do. It's sort of like wading through jello or sand, or I don't know if you've ever tried to run in water and how challenging that is. There is a sifting that you have to do to get through sometimes for many of us. There are others among us that have already sifted, or maybe don't have as many filters that they're going through, and they haven't built as many stories, haven't built as many experiences up, And so you may be able to sit and answer that question very quickly. But once you have, and you have a foundation, then there's a practice that you must practice every day. You must be committed. You must be committed to the unfolding of your soul. You must be committed and be willing to allow the shift to happen. And that requires a regular practice. It requires regular study. It requires regular engagement in community. And then you have to make a decision to start to surround yourself with people and individuals and sounds and places and experience, your environment, all of it to support the transformation of your soul, because it is to change your life, your expression on the outside to match the already perfect soul within. It is to change how you will transform and change how you are showing up so you can match the already perfect soul within, so that your insides really are matching your outsides, and there is no lack of congruency, that you are not just putting on a facade every day and putting on your gear and putting on your quote-unquote armor to go out into the world, because when you do that, you're not out in the world. You're hanging out behind a steel armor and a brick wall and a glass and all kinds of things that separate you from all that is around you. There is no time for armors. There is no time for you to put on all of this protective gear to go out into the world. You have to take time now. Last week I was talking about the fact that we are in the age of human evolution and transformation. This is the transformative age. This is no longer the modern time. We are in what my teacher calls postmodern times. And we are now in that time where we have to transform and evolve. This is the most critical point of human evolution, where we are becoming our greater yet to be. We are becoming more and more of our true selves. We are no longer just in survival mode. And the things that we have been choosing to do are no longer serving our individual souls or our entire universe, our entire planet. So it's time for us to step up our game. You got to start to peel away the layers. You got to start to peel away all the things that get in the way. What that means is, again, sitting. You got to sit. You have to sit in the stillness. You have to take time out. You cannot just be on the wheel. You can't just leap out of bed and keep going until you get to the end of the day. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That is not what you're here to do. You are here to unfold your own divine greatness. That requires meditation. It requires prayer. It requires study. You have to find places to unlearn the stuff that has got in the way of your own experience, of your own greatness, of your own divine expression. So study is not necessarily about teaching yourself anything. It's really about unlearning the stuff that blocks your ability to be your highest and best. And when you study and you start to read books by great teachers and you start to really go in and look into the book and see what is being said about being your whole self, you start to get beyond that, what I call the Facebook posts, the like and share posts. You know how people see things and they're like, oh, that's cool, that's so true. Like and share, but are you practicing? Don't just share it, practice it, live it, become it. And you start to unlearn the things. You start to unlearn the things that get in the way of your own greatness. And so you start, when you sit in stillness, one of the best things about meditation is first you learn to sit in the stillness, and then you learn how to become connected within. And once you're connected within, you can start to hear your own mental madness, right? You hear the foolishness you tell yourself, and you start to be able to identify the experiences that you have built up as a reality or as a fact. Your experiences are just experiences, and the way you feel about them, they're just feelings. They're not actually facts about who you are. So when you start to really engage in self-transformation and answering your soul's call, you start first with stillness, because stillness will help you to sift through all the stuff. And then you will start to hear things that you say about yourself or to yourself that hampers your ability to grow It hampers your ability to unfold your soul into its greatest expression. It hampers your ability to really walk in the thing we call faith, to really walk in this life that is so rich and abundant and magnificent, that is just teeming with excitement to give you what you want. God, Spirit is present and saying, yes, it is my pleasure to give you anything your heart's desire, but you have to believe and then desire. You can want all you want, all you want, all you want, but wanting does not create any type of manifestation in your life, because you have to believe and have a true desire to have all that is yours to have, to experience all that you've come to experience, to live in the allness of who you are. It's a true desire. It's not just a surface thing. It's not just a, oh, I see that over there, I'd like that. Oh, I see this thing over there, I want that. It's what do I really desire to create happiness and joy in my life? What do I really desire to create freedom from the mental madness that I sometimes engage in? What do I really desire to allow myself to unfold into the greatest expression of who I have come to be and who I have come to share with the world? Because that's what we're here for. We're creating a world together, a world that is magnificent, a world that is beautiful, a world where we all get to grow and love and unfold and be so magnificent that we are able to continue to be more joy, more beauty, more love, more abundance, more peace, more harmony, more hope, more manifesting all of the greatest things in the world. We can continue to do that. But I want to tell you, showing up and being dedicated and being disciplined and being determined to unfold your soul's call, to unfold and manifest all that you've come to be, to transform your life so it is an expression of what your soul is really calling you to do. Being that is not an opportunity to beat yourself up. Being dedicated does not mean that you get to be in a place where you're like, I didn't meditate today, oh my gosh, I only meditated for 7 minutes instead of 12, or 12 instead of 24, or 24 instead of 30. It's not a place for you to beat yourself up. It's a place for you to embrace your humanness and remain committed to who you really are, and to understand that part of being human, part of being here, part of being your whole entire self is to completely honor all of who you are. The mind, the body, the spirit. It's to really come into an awareness that all of who you are really already is aligned and really already is in congruence. So if your life is not manifesting the things that you say, and by things I mean experience, more love, more peace, more joy, more harmony, more abundance, freedom. If your life is not manifesting and expressing that, that's because you're in congruence with what you believe. And what you believe does not outpicture into your life. So you can say you believe a thing, but what is happening in your life? How are you showing up? What is coming through you? How are you expressing? How are you engaging with others? Is there patience in your life? Is there love in your life? Is there hope in your life? Is there joy in your life? Compassion, harmony. Your life is expressing what you believe. So to get in alignment and transform your life and create your personal transformation so that you can become an expression of what your soul truly desires, you have to get back in touch with your soul. You got to go back to the beginning. And you have to sit for as long as you need to sit. And you have to pray in as many manners, and you need to pray until you believe, because it's about your belief. And then as you start to become reconnected with who you are, it's not hard to believe. When you become mentally connected with the truth of who you are, and you become aligned with the awareness that your soul has always been one with the source, always been one with the power and presence of God. When you do that, it becomes a very gentle journey into your own belief. You connect with your mental self into your spiritual self and you begin to feel the alignment that's always been there. Because I want you to know that you have never been separate from the divine. You have never been out of the presence of God. It is your awareness that tells you that that is so. And when you start to do these spiritual practices, when you start to sit with yourself and be in the stillness, when you start to align yourself with prayer, and when you start to really remember who you are and go back to the beginning, it is then that it all begins to unfold. And the ability to study and the ability to show up and to do all these magnificent things in your life that your soul has called you to do becomes effortless. And resources show up for you because the universe meets you right where you are. And resources show up for you. You'll be surprised at who pops in your head to call. You'll be surprised at who pops in your life, that as soon as you think of it, how it shows up. Because you are now in alignment with what was already true for you, what was already true in your life. And your faith becomes so powerful that sometimes you laugh at yourself. Because you're like, oh wow, look at me. You just know it's going to be done. You know it, you know it, you know it. Because now when you're connected in mental state with the soul that's always connected, you start to know what you know, and you start to walk with that way. You believe then, and you remind yourself that the earth will always rise up to meet your feet, that there's no time that you're going to step to walk and the ground is just going to disappear. You're not going to fall off the planet because gravity is going to hold you where you belong. And you are going to be here. You're not just going to have a moment when you breathe in and it's like, uh-oh, we ran out of air for the day. That's not going to ever happen. You start to remind yourself that I am present with the power and presence of God. You walk with it. You do these spiritual practices throughout your day. When I run in the mornings, I remind myself that every single person that I see is a perfect divine expression of God. And so even the ones that don't say good morning back, I bless them on their way anyway, because I know absolutely that I'm seeing God. And God is having its own experience as that person. And when I know this is such, when I know this for sure, I walk in the world that way. I walk into my place of employment, and you will find yourself doing that with such incredible confidence, because you will be aligned and you will be transforming who and what you are when you step out into the world, step by step, piece by piece. And you will get to that place, minute by minute, where you become so aligned with the perfection of life all around you, that you are clear, that there is no confusion, and you walk in such pristine clarity that you wonder sometimes, what was I doing back there? But every step of your journey is necessary for your unfoldment. And because you're here, you are here because you are saying, I am ready to transform. I'm ready to be more and more of who I came to be. I'm ready to grow into myself. I'm ready to become that person that I came into the world to be. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to do my thing. And you are here for that. And so now is your opportunity to step out into your life and say, yes, yes, I'm going to do this work. Yes, I'm dedicated to my own soul's transformation. Yes, I will sit until I find the center within myself where the still, small voice can communicate with me with grace and ease. Yes, I am going to engage in personal work so that I can, the spiritual work that's necessary, so that I can unfold and unlearn all the things and release all the things that no longer serve my life and turn my attention to what is necessary for my highest good. Because when I am in my highest good, I am drawing everybody with me into their own highest good, shining my light and giving them permission to be their greatest selves. When I am courageous to be nice, I give everyone around me the courage to be nice. When I am courageous to be friendly, I give everyone around me the courage to be friendly. And person by person, we change the world. We come in and we go within and we turn our own lives into the perfect divine expression of who we really are. And then we start to walk in the world with such confidence and such light that everyone around us has no choice but to start turning their own lights on. And bit by bit together, we can transform this planet into all that we have come to do and be. So let's just remember that who you are is perfect. Right where you are is perfect. And your desire to be all that you have come into the world to be is a soul's call. That's your soul knocking. It's saying, come on, let's go. And so the time is now. And I just want to invite you to join me in prayer. as we go within. And we just give thanks. We give thanks for the awareness that God is. I'm so grateful and thankful to know that the very power and presence of God radiates through all things, sourcing every single blade of grass, every leaf on every tree, every bird in the sky. I know that it is the power and presence that holds every planet perfectly where it belongs. It keeps all of the solar systems doing what they do, holding each star, each planet right in its perfect place. It sources everything, every living and non-living thing has its beingness in and as the very power and presence of God. I know absolutely that where I am, God is, and that every aspect of my beingness is aligned with this power. This is true for me, and it is true for each and every person here right now that hears my voice. I know absolutely that everyone here is sourced, fueled, and funded by the very power and presence of God. I know that the cells between, the space between the cells themselves, the organs, every part of the body temple is sourced by the power and presence of God for each and every one of us. The activity of our fears and all that we are, it is the activity of our breathing and our very breath itself. I know that we are one with this power, and that every soul that is present here has been called for this moment, this time, on this day, to be a very powerful expression of God itself, and that each person here says yes to the soul call, yes, that is calling them from deep within, and they begin their transformative journey into more and more of their own true selves, wherever they are in their spiritual walk, that they are unfolding such greatness and magnificence as their individual self, that each one of us in this room right now steps out into the world, and the world is better because we are here. For this and so much more, I am giving thanks as I release the word into the law, knowing that it is already made done in the mind of God. It is already whole and complete. I release it, I allow it to be, and simply we say together, and so it is. Amen.